that in the It Is a Dangerous newspaper, that the guy basically feels bad because all he can really do is talk about what's happening in like a war, I guess.
So what you're saying is the guy feels bad that he can't do anything because, he's the cause of the actions, or
Yes.
what are you saying now?
I noticed in the old convict that when the guy sees something that's wrong and he decides to do something about it, and it's dangerous to read a newspaper, the girl sees something that's wrong but she doesn't do anything about it.
So I noticed in the old convict that the guy is trying to make a difference, and I noticed how the word reform repeats a couple of times, and it's like it means to make something better. So I think that he was put to jail because he was doing something that he thinks is better, but people in power they don't follow that. And it is dangerous to read newspapers. I noticed that the person is saying that I'm the cause. They're blaming themselves, but they're not doing anything about it.
I noticed how in both stories the speaker is talking about how to get out of situations in the world. Well, not out of situations, but like referring to situations that happen in the world, I guess. Yeah.
What I noticed was how both stories involve, in a way, taking action of some sort. In the old conflict, I guess the main character takes action, but it is hard. What is it? Is it hard? It is dangerous to read a newspaper. The person doesn't really take action, so I just feel like it revolves around whether making a difference.
Yeah.
What I noticed in particular in the old convict is the mention of the golden rule. It's in capitalized. I don't really understand what it stands for, but like all you guys said, I feel that these are two opposites, right? In dangerous to read newspapers, the lady can't take control, right? She knows what's wrong, but she doesn't stand up for it. Well, the convict, but he knows what's wrong, but he does stand up, but he ends up getting punished for it.
So what would you guys like to talk about?
Which point?
I personally think we could elaborate on the subject of taking action for something that you believe in, or just not doing anything about it. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yes? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, who would like to start? Edris, you want to start?
No.
Okay, Dylan?
Well, it is dangerous. Well, let's first address the question: why did this happen? Right? Why does this happen? Can we say successfully that people don't want to get involved in affairs that don't directly pertain to them? Right? Well, if you can see in the old convict, he was involved with affairs that pertain to him. Therefore, that's why he took action. Right? In It Is Dangerous to Read Newspapers, she didn't take action because, well, we can assume that she's living in a safe place, right? Maybe if you would connect this to the world, you could say a Western world, or the Western world, right? So it's safe here. There's none of this going on. So therefore, it doesn't directly pertain to her. That's why she doesn't take action. So that's what I believe. That's why did this happen.
Okay. So what Dylan's trying to say is that the first story, the old convict, since the problem has something to do with himself, that's why he feels obligated to do something about it.
Yes.
Personally. And in the other story, the war is going on, and I guess the person at home or whatever is just watching the news, eagerly watching, and the war isn't happening where she lives. It's happening somewhere else. But she still feels, or this person still feels like they're the cause of it or they're guilty about it.
Yeah.
So she may not be physically involved in it, but I feel like she's emotionally involved in it. So what difference did that make? Like, the old convict, I guess he's physically and emotionally involved in it, but she's just emotionally involved in it. So I still feel like even if you're just emotionally involved, that's enough for you to do something about it. Like, yeah.
How is it?
I'll
go? Okay. Yeah, I agree with Dylan Almedina. I think in the old convict, the guy, the speaker, he's like talking about how to, like, instead of, like, he actually wants to get out of the problem. He feels like he can't do anything about it though. And then the newspaper, the speaker as well, like, he doesn't do anything about it. He just wants to be like, he just talks about how people can't do anything about it, like what's happening in the world. That's all.
I agree with Edris, Almedina, and Dylan that, like, in the newspaper, the person feels bad because she can't help all of the people in the war and stuff like that. All she feels like she can do is write about it and feels bad about it. Yeah.
So what all of you are basically saying is, in the if it physically and emotionally affects you, you do something about it. And like, say it's not happening where you are, so you're just sitting there and watching it, so you don't really do anything. But if it's actually like outside your door or whatever, you actually do something about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like she wants to help. I feel like she wants to help, but she just thinks that she can't. But it takes more than a person to like bring a change, and I think that's her weakness. And if like there were more people that were involved, like want to be involved in helping her and helping like out about what's happening, I think it would. She can bring a change and it would like fall together, but then she feels guilty and she's just watching what's going on, but she can't do anything by herself. And the old convict, the person, as Almedina said, that just because he's involved in it, that's why he's doing something about it, and yeah.
Next subject.
So now we go on to So now we go on to the subject of where else does this happen, which I think we should relate this to either our outside world, right? So where does this happen?
Well, sorry. Keep going.
Well, you know, where does this happen? You got lots of events, right? You hear about, if we go back into the 1960s, 70s, 80s, about apartheid in South Africa, right? Did anyone want to do anything about that? It didn't affect them, right? So,
Well, the rich people.
Yeah.
The rich.
And it was Vietnam as well.
Yeah.
Holocaust.
Did people in America really wanted to do anything about the Holocaust, or did they just declare war on Germany just because,
Well,
right? After
they needed a reason to go,
Yeah.
which was when they heard about, I guess, Germany contacting Cuba or whatever it was, but they needed a reason to get involved into the war, which is, yeah.
Wait, wasn't it when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, they just declared
then-
war on both of them at the same time.
Yeah, they just kind of did.
Well, if we're talking in a general sense, or what I see is from It Is Dangerous to Read a Newspaper, I see, like, I feel like everyone is a victim of this because we see one thing on the news, but really something else could be happening, or when we do see it on the news, we feel as if, you know, like, I mean, personally, I've watched the news and I've been guilty about it, like, oh, like a war is going on. Like, I feel guilty of not knowing too much about it, and it is happening to people. Um, so I feel like everyone's a victim of that, like watching the news and not really knowing enough about it, but still wanting to do something about it. But you know, you really can't. Also, for the convict, well, I guess I'm just saying in a general sense, like what we said before was that if you're emotionally or physically involved in something, then you'll want to do something about it. Say, for example, you know, getting bullied. If you're if you're a bystander and you see someone getting bullied, you may feel emotionally involved, like you feel bad for that person, but you don't want to get physically involved in it because you don't feel like you can do anything. But say if you were the person getting bullied, of course you want to do something about it and you want to stand up for yourself, which is like in the convict, he does whatever he wants to solve the problem. Whereas in It's Dangerous to Read a Newspaper, she sees something bad happening, but she doesn't do anything about it. Whereas, say, if someone saw another person being bullied, they'd feel bad, but they wouldn't do anything about it. So that's where else I can
And
see
I'd
that
like to
happen.
comment on that last point about the bully and the old convict, because if we read in the text, maybe it's a foolish game, judged by record, who likes jail? But then I fought them tooth and nail, and surely that's no cause for shit. It's I interpret that as him trying to fight this, you know, because like you said, if a bully's bullying you, of course you're going to feel inclined to fight back, right? But this is the exact thing, right? He wants to fight back, but he can't because the other force doesn't want him to. So that's what connection I made.
Yeah, but it is too dangerous to read newspapers. The speaker just picturizes, like, she sees images of what happens to people, and like, the speaker doesn't really do anything about it. Well, in the old convict, the speaker, like, he stands up for himself, I guess. That's what I have to do.
Well, there are wars around the world, like even right now, and like, for example, in Afghanistan, there's like a lot of bombing and stuff. Well, I feel like the person in It Is Dangerous to Read newspaper, they're watching, like, as I watch the news, and I feel really guilty for what's happening, but I don't feel like I want to change, like I want to make things better, but of course I can't do it myself. Therefore, that's how she's feeling, I guess. And so it's not gonna, like, one person can't do much, but like in this case, where to stop a war or to stop something big from happening. But yeah.
I have a question. In It Is Dangerous to Read a Newspaper, didn't the person like try to reach out? Because it says, I reached out in love, my hands are guns, my good intentions are completely lethal.
I could be wrong by this. I could be completely wrong, but in social studies we learn about peacekeeping and peacemaking. And peacemaking, right, is where you go and actually fight in that country, not actually go there and protect. You go there and fight, which is what I think it is, because I reach out in love, my hands are guns. I mean, like, peacemaking, that sounds quite friendly, right? But in reality, they're going over there to fight, and then the intentions are completely lethal. Like, they may have the intentions of helping and protecting, but in a way they're kind of making the situation worse because they're going there and fighting themselves, I guess.
But wouldn't it be helping, sort of? Like, if they're attacking other countries, wouldn't
Well,
it be
we
helping?
can consider the America's war in Afghanistan or Iraq.
Yeah,
Iraq,
yeah, that's-
is that the right thing
No,
to do?
that's not the right thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, you could consider it two ways. Is it right for Islamic extremists to blow up the World Trade Center? Is that right?
Yeah.
So America does have a point, but is it right for America to go into someone's home country and occupy it?
Well, the president has agreed to that. But I don't know. Like,
I think the World Trade Center,
It's an isolated
9/11.
event.
I think that's kind of a touchy subject because you can't really base the Afghanistan war on, you
just
know,
that, yeah,
two
it is.
people crashing a plane into the World Trade
That's what
Center.
Bush blamed it on.
Right?
Way more people that.
So Bush blamed it on.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what
well,
George Bush
Bush is quite something else, you know. It really has nothing to do with
like any religion or anything.